Jaron Boots Ennis tells Errol Spence Jr. that IBF belt is going to come home soon. Turns Crawford ducks. Alright, y'all. What's good, everybody? What's good? We back for another one, y'all. Alright, so Jaron Boots Ennis sends a warning out to Errol the Truth Spence Jr. about the IBF mandatory that he's just petitioned for a few days ago. And it's sounding like he's confident that he's going to get the nod over Sandonius. And most likely he'll be the one to get that IBF mandatory, and Sandonius will have to wait. And I figured it would go that way because Errol Spence just got the WBA title, so I don't understand why they would force him to turn right around and defend it when he's had the WBC, the IBF titles already, and those are the ones that have been on hold. You would think that they would force him to have to defend one of the titles he's been holding and not the title that he just received. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty much 100% confident that Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be the one fighting Errol Spence and not Sandonius or Santanios, however you say his name. But Boots had a few interesting things to say in this article. I'm going to read a little bit of it real fast. Jaron Boots Ennis says, Errol Spence Jr., IBF welterweight belt is going to come home soon with Boots. He's referring to himself. He will have to fight me or give up the belt, Boots said. To be sure, it will look bad for Spence if he vacates the belt rather than fighting Ennis, which I totally agree with, man. I think if he goes with Santanios, even though Santanios is a champion, I think because people don't know who he is, Errol Spence would face not as much, but a little backlash similar to what Terence Crawford's going through. Terence Crawford's facing more backlash because his opponent was number 6 in the rankings and not number 1, and definitely not a seeded champion. So if Santanios is a champion, I can see people giving Errol Spence a little bit of leeway if he goes with Santanios over Boots, especially if he's going to fight Terence Crawford next. Now, if the Terence Crawford fight's not going to happen next, I would much rather see Errol Spence fight Boots, because I would believe he's not going to defend those titles more than one more time. I think whatever his next fight's going to be, and I think this is the reason he was so adamant about trying to make the Crawford fight, I think whatever his next fight is going to be his last 147-pound fight. And it's going to be interesting after that. There's a lot of players trying to make it onto the court for those belts. Boots is one, Virgil Ortiz is another, Santanios is another, Terence Crawford is another, Manny Pacquiao's throwing his name back out there, and there's a ton of up-and-comers all standing back waiting for those belts, either to be unified completely for Undisputed or for Errol Spence to vacate. So I definitely think that if it's gonna, whatever his decision is, will tell the tale of what his intentions are for the next year and a half when it comes to the 147-pound division, because I definitely feel like if he fights Santanios, that's an indication he's going to stick around for a little while longer, perhaps just to fight Terence Crawford, then move on. But I think if he fights Boots, in a lot of people's mind, is the tougher fight. I think that would be an indication that he's going to take one more tough fight at 147 and then move up in weight. Boots' team has already petitioned the IBF for them to order Spence to defend against him next, and we could hear something back from them soon. That the IBF title has got to feel like a hot potato right now for Spence, because it will burn him if he's forced to fight IBF's mandatory Boots Ennis. Listen, I definitely feel like Boots is the tougher of the two fights. Actually, it's 3 fights. It's Boots. It's really 4. It's Boots, Virgil, Terence Crawford, and Santanios. Since Errol Spence already has the WBA super title, Santanios' fight really doesn't mean anything to him. the Boots fight really doesn't mean anything to him other than it's the tougher fight in everybody's eyes. Boots doesn't come with a belt or a real built-in audience. So Errol Spence doesn't stand to make any money from that fight, big-time money from that fight. And it's a challenge, and there's no belt to come along with it. So the Boots fight really doesn't come with anything. The Virgil fight doesn't come with anything. Those are just tough welterweight fights that could be made, and a lot of people think that they're losable for Crawford or Spence. But when it comes to Spence, I think the one that makes the most sense, if he's going to stick around, would definitely be Centineo. I don't know how that works, because when Pacquiao had the WBA regular and Keith Thurman had the WBA super, they made Pacquiao drop the WBA regular and keep the super. So I don't even know what would they do with his WBA regular belt if Errol Spence beats him. I mean, what does that even mean? It's so confusing in boxing. A lot of this stuff, they just need to do away with it, because it's just making things more and more confusing than it should be. But at the end of the day, I do feel like that Boots is the best out of those three fights when it comes to Virgil, Boots, and Centineo. Of course, Crawford will be the A1 out of all of those, but Boots will be the toughest. Virgil will be next, and then Centineo will definitely be third. I never seen him, don't know too much about him, but it's definitely looking like it's in Boots' favor at the moment, and it's definitely looking like he might be the one to get the Errol Spence Jr. fight next. And it'll definitely be a good fight, man. I don't think it's going to be a disappointing fight. I definitely think if Errol Spence wins, he's going to get a lot of pats on the back for taking that fight and for beating Boots. And if Errol Spence even takes the fight, I think he'll get a lot of pats on the back. Got a lot to lose in that fight. And it's crazy that, once again, nobody's going to be able to argue that Errol Spence is taking the harder road than Terrence Crawford. Look at their opponents. Who's taking the tougher road here? So I think that's it for now. Y'all hit the like button for me. Share, subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. More than likely to get a response on the tube. It's your boy, and we are...
It's your boy Keys, neighborhood employee. Niggas knew that I was coming with fire. Y'all went up to my pie and up under a car. Your head under a tie, it's the S and the I. Player, we supposed to win. I'm in the booth focusing with coke in hand. Dude hate it when they see the chief running in. Ass mouth hurting like his wisdom teeth coming in. Now that's a roundhouse kick. Come round your house, letting rounds out quick. From Newburgh to downtown, it's that Midwest to down south shit. Y'all ain't fucking with. She chillin', saying tryna put the feel on the mind. What's good? She nothing, saying tryna show his niggas how to ride.